Defending is better than attacking is a quote which indirectly replicates Sergey Karjakin. This was his strategy when he played the whole World Chess Championship 2016 against current world champion Magnus Carlsen. In this video, we are going to see the 8th game of World Chess Championship 2016 where Karjakin pulled off a win with his really interesting defensive skills. So Magnus was white and Karjakin was black. Magnus played d4, Karjakin replied knight f6, knight f3, d5, e3, which was an interesting move by Magnus. He tries to play some kind of setups. Karjakin goes e6. Magnus plays bishop d3. Karjakin plays c5. Decent positional game. Magnus plays b3. Magnus plays b3. Karjakin plays bishop e7. Castles, bishop b2. Still going on with some setups. b6. D takes c5 and Magnus decides to play in center. Karjakin plays bishop takes c5. Here Karjakin doesn't want to play b takes c5 as some kind of pressures after c4. Some hanging pawns may be a problem in future. So Karjakin just plays some equal game by playing bishop takes c5. And here Magnus plays knight bd2, bishop b7, c4. Queen e2. Carlsen played queen e2, knight bd7, c4, which is a good point by breaking open the center and playing normal equal position, which is usually played in world championships. D takes c4, knight takes c4, queen e7. You can see that pretty solid position is there for both players, and Karjakin is following the defensive strategy as I said before. a3, a5, knight d4, rook f d8, rook f d1, rook a c8, rook a c1, knight f8, queen e1. It's all going a pretty equal position. Right now there is nothing tactical or positional, just they are playing move by move and seeing that whether opponent is making any sort of mistakes or not. Karjakin plays knight g6. Carlsen plays bishop f1, knight g4, coming back to e5 by maneuvering. Karjakin is maneuvering his knight to e5. Knight b5. This is actually a dubious move as Karjakin missed queen g5 here. In the game he played bishop c6, which was a mistake, but after queen g5 there would have been some terrible attacks. After queen g5 there would have been some terrible attacks that Magnus should have been looking for. Magnus couldn't have handled it, but Karjakin was in a defensive strategy, so he didn't play queen g5. He played bishop c6. He played a4. Magnus played a4, bishop d5, bishop d4, and this is where the game starts. Karjakin, as he is playing black pieces, he doesn't want to make risk and just wants to take a draw and move on with the plan of winning in white game in the next game. Karjakin simplifies everything. Bishop takes c4, rook takes c4, bishop takes d4, rook takes d4, and rook takes c4. And here's what Magnus does ambitiously. He plays b takes c4, which is a quite dubious move. He could have took with bishop takes c4 or rook takes c4 if he wants to keep his rook. Anything might have possible with an really slight advantage for white. But after b takes c4, it's quite unpleasant for white's pawn structure, as both a pawn and c pawn is really nasty here. And Karjakin played knight f6 since it was g4 knight was attacked. Carlsen played queen d2, wanting to catch the d file. Karjakin doesn't want to exchange his rooks and he plays rook b8. Magnus plays g3, bringing the light square bishop to g2 and placing it in a long diagonal. Knight e5, a small threat in f3, knight f3, and bringing the knight to the queen side, which is the main idea. Placing the knight to c5 by knight d7, knight c5. So Magnus plays bishop g2, h6, thus clearing a back rank, f4. A little bit ambitious play starting from Carlsen from this move. Knight e d7, knight a7, which is a nice move threatening knight c6. Good square for knight in that. Good square for knight. c6 is a really good square. Queen a3. I think here both players were low on time, somewhere around 5 to 10 minutes. So they were blushing moves. If Magnus had Magnus played actually knight c6. Here if Magnus had played rook takes d7, then knight takes d7, queen takes d7, queen takes e3 check, would have been a good counterplay for black, or even better for black. This wasn't needed for white to do such a risky decision. I mean, after queen a3, white played knight c6, rook f8. Since rook was attacked, he played rook f8. Even here the same results have if he plays rook takes d7, after knight takes queen takes and queen takes e3 check, black has superb counterplay. And here h3. h3 is an idea of taking now rook takes d7, as after queen takes e3 check, white can hide king h2, which is better for white, better endgame for white. So Karjakin plays knight c5, and here Magnus gave up a4 pawn by king h2. Little ambitious, as Karjakin is now thinking that whether I should play for a win. And after knight takes e4, he decides to play for a win. Rook d8, g6, clearing a bad situation. Queen d4, king g7, c5. Horrible mistake for c5 is an horrible mistake for Carlsen, because Carlsen had thought that if b takes c5 is a blunder. Karjakin didn't play that. If b takes c5, then queen d6 is a brilliant move. After rook takes d8, knight takes d8, whatever black plays, you can't stop. Queen e7 followed by queen takes f7 check, which completely nasties the black position. Suppose if black plays knight c something like knight c3. Suppose if black plays something like knight c3, then queen e7. You can't support f7 pawn, as after knight d5, queen takes f7 check, king h8, and after knight takes e6, the game is over. So coming back, Karjakin spotted that quickly and played rook takes d8, good move, and after knight takes e8, if he plays b takes c5, then the same situation as after queen d6, you can't stop queen e7 and queen takes f7 check. So Karjakin plays knight takes c5, brilliant move. After queen d6, Karjakin actually played queen d3, which isn't needed, which was a mistake. Karjakin should have simply played queen a4, given up the b6 pawn and slowly rolled the a pawn, a5 pawn. Karjakin should have slowly rolled the a5 pawn by playing queen a4. After queen takes b6, something like knight d7, and slowly improving the position. But Karjakin played queen d3 in time trouble, and Magnus spotted a keen tactics by knight takes e6 check. So now you can't play knight takes e6 as queen on d3 is at hang. So forced is f takes e6, and Carlsen plays queen e7 check, king g8 only move, queen takes f6 and a4. Now both players have gained time as per 40 move rule, and both players are thinking a lot as much as they can. So for some kind of perpetual chances, Magnus plays e4, and now Karjakin plays a good move, queen d7. Really good move to avoid draws. Black is now playing for wins, clear cut wins, and Magnus is really nervous at this position as he's playing so ambitiously from a certain point. Okay, Magnus plays queen takes g6, queen g7, queen e8 check, queen f8, and now maybe queen g6 check was a better move. Of course, black won't agree for a draw, as black will play king h8, and then maybe something like e5 maybe is maybe playable. But yeah, what Magnus played isn't a mistake or something. Magnus played queen c6, Karjakin played queen d8 defending the b6 pawn. Magnus plays some counter by f5, Karjakin plays a3, f takes c6, and now there is a tricky point. Karjakin played king g7 in the game, which was a nice prophylactic move. If black had played a2, then Magnus would have simply played e7, queen takes e7 is forced, queen a8 check, king g7, and queen takes a2. You are losing the a2 pawn, and now white is pawn up, and white is pawn up, and he would be the one to play for a win. So coming back, so preventing that, Karjakin played king g7. A nice move, nice prophylactic move. And still Carlsen plays e7, grabbing b6 pawn and giving e7 pawn. Queen takes e7, queen takes b6, and now knight d3. And now is a critical point where Magnus made a blunder. Magnus should have played e5 and open up this bishop's diagonal, as after knight takes e5, bishop d5, there is some sort of big counter plays happening from white's intention. But Magnus plays queen a5, which was a waste of tempo and a big blunder. As after queen c5, Karjakin played queen c5, which was a brilliant move. and after queen a6, knight e5. Completely close this light square bishop, as he can't play bishop, something like bishop f1. Maybe he can play, but it isn't that much nice. Carlsen played queen e6. I mean, he is now in such a pressure that no one could save him, something like that. Because you should be careful with his king. You should be careful with his black's a3 pawn, which is a terrible pauser, and his bishop is not even like a pawn. It is really worse, really worse. You should have played e5, which he missed. So okay, after queen e6, black simply plays a really calm move h5, and here's what Magnus does: a big blunder which loses the game on the spot, which is h4. Carlsen should have played queen a6 again, but since so much pressure has revolved overall in the tournament, in this game, maybe Carlsen feared a bit and didn't play queen a6 and played this blunder h4. And after h4, Karjakin thought for a few minutes, and at excitement he played a2. And now Magnus thought for a few minutes and then resigned. So now what's happening is a1 queens is happening forcefully, so you should be forced to take queen takes a2. After queen takes a2, black simply plays knight g4 check. White has two moves, king h1 and king h3. If king h1, then queen c1 check, bishop f1, and queen takes f1 is a checkmate. Coming back, if king h3, then queen g1 is a nice threat of checkmate, and you can't stop that deadly threat, as both queen h2 is a checkmate and knight f2 wins a queen. So defending both is now impossible. White can just give a check by queen b2, but here black should be careful. Only move to win is king g6. Wherever other move you go, king h7 you have queen b7 check, king h6 you have queen d2 check, and if you go to the back rank you have queen b8 check. So after king g6 you don't have queen b6 check, as queen into b6 is losing a queen. So after king g6 he's gone, it's forcefully mated, and after bishop f3 white is controlling queen h2 mate, but that doesn't matter. After knight f2 check, white should lose a queen and this endgame is lost. It was unfortunate that Karjakin couldn't win the World Championship in 2016, because Magnus Carlsen came back strongly by winning the 10th game of World Chess Championship, and further came on to win the rapid format and eventually defended his title. It would have been nice if the youngest Grandmaster had been crowned as a world champion in 2016. But the game which I showed in this video, I mean the 8th game of the World Chess Championship 2016, completely shocked the chess world, and therefore this game is one of Karjakin's best chess game ever. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more exciting contents related to chess.